Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Tennis. My name is Jack Edward. We hopefully will be joined very shortly by Isabel Wing. I'm watching Jannik Sinner v Daniil Medvedev. I'll try not to say too much or get caught up in my own conversation too much, but I'll give you some information about what's going on, a bit on the head-to-head. Isabel can wax lyrical about Jannik Sinner. I know she's a big fan of him. Not so much Daniil, but we'll have plenty of unbiased chat to talk about when she does eventually join. They're just hitting the first ball now, and while they are, first rally, of course, is a backhand cross-court rally. That's the first place I can dive in, I think. I'm expecting this one to be really close. So Jannik and Daniil so far have played 3 times, and they've all been indoor hardcourt matches, very surprisingly. Obviously, Jannik is a great player on all surfaces. I wouldn't have expected them to have met on clay so much, but on a different kind of hardcourt, I'm very surprised they've not met, given Medvedev generally gets to the latter stages of any hardcourt tournament he plays. But they've played 3 times so far, 3 times indoors, and 3 times Medvedev has come out on top. The first time was in Marseille in 2020. That was fairly standard for Medvedev, like 4-2 or something like that. Second one, Marseille again in 2021, a little bit closer. And then the third time, of course, at the ATP finals last year, the closest match we've had so far. Went to a third set tiebreak, and Medvedev had to save 2 match points. So it really could have went either way, despite Jannik getting bageled in the first set. Now, what I'm expecting is that pattern to continue. You know, it wasn't close at all the first time. It was a little closer the second time, really, really close the third time. I think it'll be incredibly close this time. I mean, both players. Here we go. Hello.
Hi, sorry.
I had to start talking to myself there, and I was already spiraling off the rails. I'll finish that thought just before I greet Isabel. I'm expecting this one to be the closest one they've had so far, given the third one. I mean, it basically could have went either way. I'll give you some more reasons for that in just a second. But first, Isabel, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, yeah. Keen
Yeah.
to watch a decent match. I feel like I've not seen an epic in a while, and this one has a potential epic written all over it. So
Yeah, I
fingers crossed I'm not
agree.
getting myself too hyped.
Yeah, I haven't really been paying attention at all to any tennis as of late. So, I'm excited for this one.
Have you been away since the US Open?
Uh, Pretty much. Once the sort of the rest of the tour goes on, I lose focus in it. Mostly because in the States it's a much harder to watch those smaller tournaments, but I'm not in the States, I'm in the UK, so it is easy to watch them, but I'm still not used to it, so,
That makes sense.
uh, yeah, but I've been traveling the last couple of weeks, so I have not been, on the radar with it.
Yeah. Well, I can fill you in on what's been going on as we get Love 40, by the way, on Sinner's serve in the first game. Jannik Sinner has been he's been okay recently indoors. I think it's more about Medvedev and his form. Obviously, Isabel, you will know that Medvedev recently retired against Djokovic, and I'm sure you're
Yep.
aware of how great that match was and how high level Medvedev was able to play. That was kind of, I guess that was defeating expectations from Medvedev, because we have expected a sort of lower level from him over the last few months. He's really kind of went off not off the rails, but he's been playing a lower level than he had since the Australian Open final. You know, only winning the one title, which is very unlike him. Losses to Stan Wawrinka, of all people, in indoors and Mets. Maybe that's harsh, but obviously Stan has backed that up by being rude now. But he's been winning less break points. He's been converting less break points. A lot of pressure situations where Medvedev is not looking anywhere near as good as he has been in previous years. And then we saw him in Astana playing that match against Djokovic, and all of a sudden it looks like he could be back to his best tennis. So this is a really, really important tournament for him. He's always been good indoors. I think this is a really, really good chance for him to sort of assert his dominance on his favourite surface, especially against a player who arguably is in the top 5 or 6 indoor hardcourt players in the world for me. Maybe the serve, I suppose, is lacking compared to your Hubie Hurkacz's, your Daniil Medvedev's, but honestly, this should be really close. I'll give a few more reasons for that first, but let's go for a bit of a bias chat, as Ghost has said in the chat there. Who are you rooting for, Isabel?
I think I'm rooting for Sinner, in this match. I mean, I don't really have a lot of dislike for Medvedev. He's not my favorite. But, if he's playing Djokovic, I'm always going to root for him. But in this particular match, I think I'm rooting for Sinner, mostly because after Sinner's run this year, both at Wimbledon and the U.S. Open, I'm really impressed with his level.
Yeah.
So I would really
I
like
mean,
him to do well.
yeah. I mean, the US was ridiculous, and still, for me, goes down as the match of the season. His loss to Carlos Alcaraz in 5 sets there. It was just surreal. I was up till 8 in the morning watching it. I didn't understand what was going on by the end of it. It was, as
Yeah.
Robbie Koenig would say, tennis near the gods, like the whole time, just like they were doing stuff I'd never seen on a tennis court. Great stuff. So I agree. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Jannik as of this season for sure. But part of me wants Medvedev to do well because he's had such a poor season, and I want him to bounce back from that Australian Open final loss, right? Which will still probably have been scarring him for the last few months. So I think really a win for him is more important than Sinner for me. By the way, Medvedev, just to keep the viewers aware, Medvedev got that break, so he's 1 love up at the moment.
I don't know if Medvedev's is too down on himself right now. He did just have a kid, so I'm sure he feels pretty
It's a
fine.
good point. Yeah, that's a good point. He mentioned that actually. He said he's feeling feelings he's never felt before. Always considered himself a cold person, and he said he's feeling positive feelings for the first, not just positive feelings for the first time in his life, but a very Russian response to it anyway. It's quite funny, or a very Medvedev response, I should say.
Yeah.
So he's loving life at the moment. You're right. That's probably helped him, I guess. Maybe it's just taken some of the pressure off, shifted his perspective a little bit. A little bit more on the matchup, by the way. Sinner, in previous meetings with Medvedev indoors, hasn't had as good a serve. I mean, you look at his first serve win percentage on hard courts. In 2022, it's went up 3% compared to previous years, and it was around 72% the whole time from 2019 to 2021. So he's winning more points on first serve. He should be able to hold serve more easily. Obviously, we just saw him get broken in the first game, but throughout the entirety of the match, he should be able to hold serve a little easier than he has before against Medvedev. And Medvedev's return games on hard courts has gone down over the last year. So last year it was a crazy 32% return games won percentage. This year it's down to 28, which is about the same as his percentages in 2019 and 2020. So that's what I mean by the Australian Open final maybe affecting him. Like, there shouldn't be a reason for that decline. You'd expect there to be a sort of gradual peak to his form, but there's definitely something missing from Medvedev's game that I think will make it harder for him to sustain the form he'll require to beat Sinner in this match.
Well, I think he's doing okay so far.
He is doing well. He's doing fine so far. And one of the most important things in this matchup, and in any Medvedev matchup, will be how Sinner deals with backhands cross-court. And for me, Sinner should be one of the best in the world at dealing with that. He's got the most topspin on his backhand. He probably is arguably one of the only players who could find space, past Medvedev's backhand, because he's able to hook it cross court. However, it always will take a massively high level to do that against Medvedev, given the long levers he's got and the ability he has to just flick the backhand back into play, regardless of where the ball is in the court. He does magic things with it. However, just keep that in mind. If Sinner does redline his game, he's one of the players that could beat Medvedev in that battle.
Take your word for it.
Two love, by the way. Well, we'll see how it pans out, Isabel. Stats are all well and good, but if Medvedev plays really well, he might totally neutralize that from Sinner, and it won't really matter. So we'll see. Recent record indoors as well, by the way. Jannik Sinner, I was saying he's one of the best. I said top 6. I might take that back. Top 10 at least indoors, because there's some very good players indoors nowadays. Felix Auger-Aliassime, of course, comes to mind as one of the very best in the world. Andrei Rublev, arguably with a better record. But we look at the last 7 indoor events of Sinner's indoor hard court career. He had to retire against Runa, of course, so we won't count that as too bad a loss. Narrowly missed out in qualification for the ATP finals. Semi-finals after losing to Medvedev last year and beating Hurkacz 6-2, 6-2. I don't know if you saw that one, Isabel.
I did not.
It was mental. That's the kind of level he can sustain indoors. So that's why I'm kind of rating him as much as I do. Lost to Alcaraz in Paris, and that was a great match as well. That was just Alcaraz being Alcaraz. Lost to Andy in Stockholm. Is that a bad loss? Probably is, to be honest, if I'm being brutally honest. But then, yeah, lost in Vienna to a peaking TFO. That's fine. And then he won in Antwerp, won in Sofia. He beats people he should beat indoors. He has got a level that most can't live with. Obviously, Medvedev will be one of the few that probably can. But I'll reiterate that. If he redlines his game, he's one of the few that could beat Medvedev playing well indoors.
I've never seen. Sorry.
No, go on. I was just going to update.
I've never seen ball kids with baskets before.
Have you not?
What are they doing?
It does happen. I don't know what benefit it gives them. It's just easier to catch stuff, right?
I've never seen that before. I couldn't really tell what it was for a second. It's like, do they have rackets? What are those?
Bug nets, whatever they are. I'll put up a wee. That didn't work. John's not here to tell me exactly how to do it. I think I made a comment by accident.
2 games to love for Medvedev, and we're at 30-15 for Sinner.
That's probably the easiest way to do it. I'll update the score in a second, yeah. Playing well so far. I've seen a few backhand cross-court battles, but not much else, to be honest. Here's one right now, actually. Yeah. I was going to say, where are you, Isabel?
I think I'm where you are, just out from Sinner to 30 all.
Yes, yeah, with a forehand down the line. So you're just a touch ahead of me. Cool. Try not to spoil too much. 30 all, big point. If he does lose this point, it might go the way of a lot of their first sets they've played so far, where Medvedev's just kind of rolled against. I mean, he bageled them last year. Again, I'll just, reiterate that. He bageled them in the first set in the ATP finals, and then Sinner was still able to get it to a third set tiebreak. So it's not the end of the world if this one does run away from him. Maybe he's a little prone to slow starts playing somebody like Medvedev. At the same time, I don't know if you were able to see Medvedev playing Batista Agut recently. A 6-1, 6-1 win.
No, I hadn't seen that.
That was incredible. If he can play anything like that, that's why I'm so scared. If he can play anything like that, he beats anybody in the world, I suppose. But I just think the form generally would make me think he can't sustain that for as long as he would like. There you go. And he misses a forehand to give 40-30. All of a sudden, it's probably just going to be the one break that Sinner's down. So it's not so bad.
Do you really think I was in Swansea?
Is that John?
Yeah. Oh, that was John. Yeah. He thinks that I'm in Swansea. John, just for you, I'll tell you, I was not in Swansea, but I was in Glasgow for a week, and then I was in Portugal for another week. So definitely not Swansea, the heroin capital of the UK.
I didn't know that. That's not the kind of stat I was looking for today, I'll be honest, Isabel.
Well, now you have it.
Crazy rally here, by the way. He's gone on for about 10 shots. Going backhand cross court again. Sinner slicing. Is Sinner going to keep slicing? He did try it again and manages to win the point. So 2-1 to Medvedev. Exciting stuff. I doubt we'll see many more slices, surely. That's not a very Sinner thing to do. Medvedev's a lot better at dealing with that nowadays. Still very interesting dynamics. Early doors. Have you seen Dimitrov recently, Isabel?
No, I never pay much attention to Grigor. I know he's very likable, but I've just never paid much attention.
He was the match prior to this one. Fair enough, because if you do put your heart into Dimitrov's results, then you will be disappointed most of the time. However, he has just played the previous to the one he just had against Giron, he played Rublev and played one of the matches of the season. I mean, it was one of those matches where he just looks untouchable, Federer-esque, as they always used to say when he was playing in 2011 and 2012, baby Fed.
Yeah.
He's having that one tournament of the year where he just looks like he's going to be unbeatable. Are you not a fan of Grigor?
I just don't, I remember when people were calling him baby Fed, and he never really lived up to that name for me. And then, I just never never seemed particularly special to me. He doesn't do it for me. That's all I care about.
That's fair. He's obviously, he's a nice looking guy. That's undeniable. Surely.
Yeah, John here asked if Dimitrov is the best looking guy on tour. I would argue that he's not. I've always been, in terms of best looking, I've always gone for Luca Pui, but that's
Luca Pui.
That's just a me thing.
Wow. I always thought it was Matteo.
He's also up there.
Yeah, Luca Pui's an interesting choice. That's quite a wild card one, I gotta say.
I think it partly comes from that match he won against Raonic, I want to say. A while back, I think can't remember what tournament it was, but he had a long match with Milos Raonic. And I was like, I like this guy. And then I discovered how attractive he was.
Medvedev has... Oh, no, there we go. I thought he had some choice words to say for that. He does have some choice words to say about the crowd. Once again, he was pretty annoyed in his last one as well. I don't know if you got to see that in his win against Team, but he won 6-3, 6-3. That's great against somebody like Team indoors, because honestly, I don't know if Team goes underrated as an indoor hardcourt player, but he's won, obviously, the finals of ATP finals, I should say.
Yeah.
And he's beaten Great. I forget he hasn't won it.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, maybe... Yeah. No, 2020, I suppose, 2 years ago, right? But
feels like 10 years ago. Haven't seen Team in so long.
It feels like, anyway, the matches he's won recently would suggest he's getting back to form, and for Medvedev to roll against him 6-3, 6-3 is very Medvedev things. Like, Team just looked like he couldn't do anything against him. It didn't matter how hard he hit, didn't matter where he placed the serve. Just very classic Medvedev to stave off a threat like that so easily. So that's that was probably the most impressive win for a while from Medvedev, bar the Bautista Agut one, I would say. Great forehand from Sinner there. Again, you're probably just a bit ahead.
It wasn't. It was out.
Yeah, the forehand pass from Sinner there. So 15-0. Good chance to get into the return game of Medvedev, but Sinner's kind of squandered it there. I would say that it should have been really about 50-50 on paper, given Sinner's recent indoor record and Medvedev's recent indoor record. Just looking at Medvedev's as well, having already gone over Sinner's. Medvedev obviously retired against Djokovic in Astana, but that match goes down as one of the best of the season, I would say, despite it ending early. Lost to Stan and Metz, so that was a little bit of a blip. We'll give him that. Lost to Zverev last year in the final of the ATP finals. No shame in that, really. Lost to Djokovic in the Paris Masters final as well. So getting to the latter stages of every indoor tournament he plays. Won in Marseille in 2021. Lost to Lajovic in Rotterdam in 2021. The less said about that, the better. But then also won the ATP finals and won Paris in 2020. So, I mean, that's title, final, Lajovic, Stan, and Djokovic. Really not bad. I'm drinking ginger tea, by the way.
I'm really proud. I'm also drinking ginger tea.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Just felt like a ginger tea day.
It's a beautiful day here in Cardiff. I don't know what it's like up there.
I can see blue, I'm pretty sure. If there's any blue in the sky, we're doing well.
It's been a couple of really lovely days here. Lots of sun.
Even given you were in Portugal. It's been
nice. It was actually more rainy there than it was in Cardiff.
All right. Isabel, a self-professed lover of the rain, though. So
I don't mind it.
Still, you go to Portugal for sun, right? So you would have been a bit disappointed. 3-1 Medvedev, by the way, was able to hold serve from love 15 down there. Made it look quite easy in the end. Really doesn't look like he's hitting the ball that hard. I do remember one match specifically where Sinner was slow bowled for the entire match, and it wasn't against Medvedev. It was against Hubie Hurkacz in the Miami Open final in 2021. And Hurkacz didn't go for anything in his forehand, barely went for anything in his backhand, and just let Sinner implode. I'll be interested to see if that's exactly what Medvedev does here. As basic as it gets from Medvedev, just like will play 50% of his best tennis and could come out on top here. It doesn't look like he's done anything special so far. I'd be very surprised if he's even hit a winner, but he's 3-1 up and love 15. Ghost saying he's drinking vodka there. There might be a time difference. I don't want to judge. It could be, 10 to 4 at your time as well, Ghost.
There's no wrong time to be drinking that, I suppose.
Maybe not, exactly. Depends if you're still working, though, Isabel.
True, we can't all be unemployed.
Exactly. Jannik Sinner 15-all. One of the most interesting things here, and I'll comment on the serve after it's been played. He does go for a wide serve, and he does go for the volley. It's literally like reading my mind there. I was going to say it would be great to see Sinner going for a bit of serve and volley. It's not a tactic that he's gone for against Medvedev in the past. Obviously, we've seen it a few times this year. We saw Kyrgios using it in the US Open and Cincinnati, I believe. We saw Djokovic using it last year in Paris. Sinner wouldn't have went for it in the past given his serve wasn't good enough, but arguably all those stats earlier I was saying about Sinner's first serve would suggest he's got a good enough first serve to come in off the back of. And of course, he's got Dan and Cahill in his camp as well now. And we saw him finishing points off at the net very, very efficiently against Carlos Alcaraz at the US Open. So I think serve and volley is going to be something we'll see a lot of. Wide serve and a short volley just to take advantage of the deep return position of Medvedev. And a drop shot, just to add to what I've just said there. Deep return position, drop shot is generally on if you can disguise it. Yeah, less stats. There we go. That's my whole spiel, basically. I might have a few more stats, but that's all I've got. I'll try and give viewers a bit more of what's actually going on. 3-1, 40-15 on Sinner's serve at the moment. Looking to keep the break to just the one. Well, if that was a second serve, yeah, Sinner's also taking a little bit of a risk on his second serve. Wouldn't have expected that from him, to be honest. Not the kind of player that does that. However, 3-2. Well played, forces an error with a second serve out wide. Isabel, have you been able to keep up with Felix Auger-Aliassime's record recently?
No, not really.
I know you're a bit of a fan of Felix, right?
Any fellow Canadian.
Yeah. Well, Felix is playing about the best tennis he's played in his life. He 6-1-6 loved Miomir Kecmanovic.
Cool.
That's a good result. It's not it's not nothing modest. That's like about as good as it gets from Felix. And if he keeps it up, he's going to just roll through every indoor tournament he plays. And it's making me think he might be right up there as second favourite for the ATP finals.
Ooh, I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about Stan?
No.
Stan made the quarterfinals in Basel.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He beat Casper Ruud in the first round, right?
Yes, he did.
And he beat Nakashima. And Nakashima's, still tough. He's on the rise. But yeah, the win against Ruud was, it was straight sets. It was great. Yeah. However, Isabella, I will say, he beat Medvedev earlier this year. Metz, have mentioned that earlier, and immediately... Oh, no, he got to the semis. But yeah, he retired in the semis. He does tend to run out of steam nowadays. Putting consecutive matches in a row is seemingly quite tough for him at whatever age he is now. 37? I want to say 37 years old. Is that as much as that?
I have no idea.
Could be 36, maybe. I think his age is with Nadal.
He's 37.
Wow, okay. Yeah, no, you're right though. He basically did what team couldn't in winning it. He won a couple of matches at home and keeping the home hopes alive. I don't believe there's another Swiss player in the draw, just as there isn't an Austrian player, I should say, in the Vienna draw.
Yeah. There aren't many Austrian players except for team.
Yeah.
I can't think of any.
I think Denis Novak might be the second highest ranked one. Oh, I'm good, thanks, Ghost. How are you? You drunk yet? 15 love, Medvedev. Sinner just put a Joko smash into the net. Sinner continuing with the slice. I just don't see that working for him. As I said, Medvedev's so much better nowadays at dealing with the slice. Haven't seen him miss off of a slice so far. Sinner still going for it. I would prefer to see him try and work him cross court, as I was saying, red line a little bit, as he misses a backhand, to be fair. This isn't looking good for Sinner. Again, Medvedev's really not done anything special. He's just playing as standard Medvedev as you can get. Oh, did you see Andy losing by any chance?
I didn't see the match, but I heard about it, and I knew that you and the rest of the team at Murray Musings would be sad.
I'm not a member of Murray Musings. I'm just
yeah, you practically are.
I practically am. That's true. I could be hosting a quiz this year. I'm sure if Scott arranges it in time, then I'll be hosting an end of year Andy Murray quiz. Not much to be positive about in an Andy Murray quiz, to be honest, this year, but there still will be one. I'm still kind of looking forward to it.
The positive thing is that he's still playing, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've been saying that for 4 years, haven't we? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's getting disappointing. Although, there was a stat recently. He's won 26 matches this year, which is the most he's won since 2016. More than 2017, which is wild, given he was still world number one then. So I suppose there's positives to be drawn. Medvedev 40-15 up, 3-2, by the way. Again, just letting Sinner miss the backhand, miss the forehand. He doesn't miss this, does he? Did he miss that?
I think he did miss that.
No, he didn't.
It happened so fast.
Sinner
no, that was in.
Yeah, I was thinking he doesn't miss those. Yeah, Sinner with a short ball there, managed to put it away. It reminded me of the Dimitrov match earlier, actually, because he has got a bit of a reputation for that, missing some absolute sitters. Sinner does not generally do that, though. And yeah, unfortunately can't land the return, though. That certainly wasn't a sitter. And we're now at 4-2 to Medvedev. Hasn't really been bothered on serve. Just the one break early doors, taking advantage of a little bit of a slow start from Sinner. And we're at 4-2. I wouldn't be surprised to see Medvedev break here, because I imagine the return points to service points won on Sinner's serve can't be far off 50% or so.
Ghost is wondering how old you are, Jack.
It's relative to tennis players, right? Goes professional tennis players. 37 is old for a professional tennis player, but 37 is very young in terms of life. Does that save me a little bit? I'm 27, by the way, Ghost. A shimmer in my eyes when discussing Stan's advanced years.
You're practically 28 at this point.
Yeah, practically I'm 28. That's true. Jesus. That really is the latter stages of your 20s, right? I was kind of denying it at 27.
I'm about to turn 27, and I'm denying it entirely. I don't plan on being 27.
By the way, Sinner gets another chance to hit a smash and hits another Djoko smash into the net. So he's caught the bug with Djokovic not playing at the moment. And it's love 15. I don't know the outcome of this point.
Oh, my apologies then.
Oh, he didn't. Oh, that was nice. I thought he'd missed that volley there. No, that was a really nice drop shot. Again, that could be key. It was key for Djokovic and Astana, using drop shots to stave off Medvedev before he retired. It works really well because Medvedev's so deep in the court. I didn't realise it was a drop shot off a Medvedev drop shot, actually. But I wouldn't mind seeing that from Sinner, given he's having pretty much, zero luck from the baseline. So 15 all at the moment. Again, I wouldn't mind a wee serve and volley. If Sinner could read my mind. That's what I'm telling you to do, Jannik. Give it a go.
That was good.
He's serving volley? That was... I honestly should be Jannik Sinner's coach, surely. Yeah, he does get past though. So 15-30. Take it back. Looking dangerous for Sinner. Not surprised he went for that, of course. Medvedev with a blistering forehand pass. I feel like Medvedev's trying to get the crowd pumped up after yesterday. I don't think they were particularly happy with him. He did goad them a little bit. He doesn't like, or maybe he does like playing in front of a home crowd for the opposition because he likes to get under their skin a bit. He likes to use their anger to his advantage. 30-all, Sinner managing to get to the net there. Great little point. 27, that's a danger. Yes, it is. If I can survive the next 3 weeks, Ghost, I should be okay. I'll talk through this point because it could be quite important. Again, I think serve and volley is probably going to be a bit predictable now for Medvedev, but he's got to keep the point short, Sinner, if he does hope to win it. I would say it's looking like the backhand cross-court battle is not going his way at all. It's interesting because the indoor courts are a lot slower than they used to be. That could be part of the reason Medvedev's excelling in this matchup so easily at the moment. He has got a backhand cross-court battle, so it'll be interesting to see if Sinner can do something to stave it off. Goes into the Medvedev forehand once, back to backhands cross-court. Medvedev just slow balling. Sinner now, he decides to slice, still going cross-court. Medvedev trying to hit past, Sinner trying to hit past Medvedev, I should say. Really, really, really interesting rally there. Medvedev eventually undone by a huge forehand from Sinner. Maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs to get his forehand into play. I don't know. It does look like Medvedev's got all the advantages at the moment, though. Sinner maybe not going into Medvedev's forehand as much as he should be. As much as it pains me to say, I do remember one player going into the Medvedev forehand incredibly well in previous years, and that was Alexander Zverev last year in the 2021 ATP Finals final. Literally, he targeted it exclusively, basically, and didn't give Medvedev much pace to work with. He does have a little bit of trouble generating his own pace off that wing. I don't see why Sinner shouldn't do the same thing, but he is persevering cross-court at the moment in the backhand cross-court battle, and he's not coming out on top. 40-30 to Sinner. Again, goes down the line to the Medvedev forehand. Back to cross-court backhands. Sinner trying to get out of it again. Gives Medvedev a couple of aggressive forehands. Drop shot out of nowhere, but it's a pretty bad drop shot, to be honest. And
yeah,
Sinner on it. I mean, he's showing a lot of rally temperament. There is a chance he could come out on top of enough of these baseline battles, I should say. But yeah, Medvedev looking like the better player at the moment. It is an interesting matchup because on paper, and you know, I said it at the start of the video, it's got epic written over it in some ways, but Sinner is never going to hit the ball as hard as he did against Alcaraz against Medvedev, because Medvedev's happy to just slow ball him all day. Is there a chance that this could be quite a boring match, Isabel?
I mean, I think so. I'm not thrilled right now.
Yeah.
I don't think it could be very long. No. I mean, Medvedev's just a very different player to Alcaraz, and I think that the Sinner and Alcaraz's sort of playing styles matched up really well, but not Medvedev. He, for as good as he is, I don't find him very fun to watch.
He's not very riveting for the tennis purist. I get it, but
I'm not a purist. I don't get a thrill watching him. I know that, like you said, like he's happy to slow ball everybody. He makes everybody hit like a dozen extra shots, but I don't see him doing anything like otherworldly in the way that Alcaraz does, or Federer did, or Djokovic does. So I just don't find him fascinating from like a fan perspective.
If I was backing him up, Isabel, I would say he's got those running sort of passing shots in his arsenal that a lot of players don't, right? That's probably the most exciting thing he can come up with. So I mean, I enjoy watching him. But you're quite right. He's a very different player to Alcaraz and Federer, and kind of, he stifles Sinner's game a little bit, and we don't see the electricity we would in other matchups from Sinner, basically. Yeah. We've got a few questions. First one, if Medvedev wins Vienna, should he be favoured over Djokovic next week? I really don't think so. No. Djokovic still the player to beat on indoor hard courts for me. Who knows what would have happened in Astana if that had went to a third set. Honestly, Medvedev looked like the better player. However, that said, Turin is a little bit faster. It would suit Djokovic a little bit more on paper. I'd still say Djokovic would be the favourite in that matchup. And Medvedev also isn't as favourable against some of the other opponents in the tournament as Djokovic would be. Like Felix, for example, deserves a win over Medvedev. That's been a couple of matches in a row that they've had where it's been very, very close and Felix has only just lost. Obviously, match points in Australia and stuff. 15-30, by the way, on Medvedev's serve. I'll let you know what happens here. Medvedev goes for a huge first serve that hits the baseline rather than the service line. Going for a second. I can't imagine he'll go for anything risky. Nope, just starts the rally. They're going cross-court. Backhands, as you would expect. Sinner gets a chance to hit an aggressive forehand. Kind of doesn't take it, and they're back to cross-court backhands again. Sinner runs around for a forehand, though, and suddenly he's in offense. Plays the drop shot. Medvedev just... Oh my goodness.
That was intense.
That was seriously intense. Medvedev gets to the drop shot, just slices it into play. Sinner batters it cross-court. And Medvedev reactionary volley to win the point. Seriously, not a Medvedev thing to do. I love it. I love to see the slow motion replay because you can see Medvedev still looking a little bit like an octopus as he hits the volley. The technique is not there at all. However, he makes it work. And pretty much every shot he plays, apart from the serve, he makes it work. Great stuff. 30-all.
Yeah. Is Darren Cahill on Sinner's team?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Darren Cahill is the reason for Sinner having upped his net game in recent months.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Great serve from Medvedev, by the way, down the tee to get it to 40-30. Now going for the 40-30 serve, misses the first serve. So he's got a second serve here. Again, I'll talk us through the point because it could be quite an important one. Goes out wide to Sinner's backhand. They're trading cross-court. Sinner goes for a slice to the Medvedev forehand. Interesting tactic. Goes cross-court with the backhand, but pushes it long as he tries to get into the net. So it is now 5-3 to Medvedev. I think this will be an interesting match. At the moment, I think Sinner's coming up with enough, variety to keep the match interesting. When it does go to a second set, assuming Medvedev is able to take the first, I can't see things being as easy for Medvedev. I think it could go to a tiebreak because it should be about 50-50. It was at the start of the match for me. I think Sinner is now kind of settled into the match and he's doing enough to stave off the Medvedev threat. Is Sinner limping? He seems a little off in his walk. He has got a problem with his ankle, sort of flared up in the Cerundolo match. I think that was from the retirement against Rune a few weeks ago. Something that he's feeling fit enough that he's able to play. However, I think if he's limping again, it could have flared up possibly.
That makes me worried.
Yeah, definite limp. I never try to read into limps too much because I've spent years as an Andy Murray fan watching him with his funny walk, trying to pretend he's not got an injury because he just does it all the time. It doesn't matter
he does.
What situation it is. Love 15 point, by the way. Sinner getting a forehand inside out. If that touched the line, it didn't, did it?
No, he's not really having luck with those down the line shots.
Yeah, just misses a forehand inside in. So we're now at love 30. Does look like Sinner's trying to find his forehand more than he usually would. He's normally happy to just camp in the ad court and rifle backhands because it's as good a weapon as forehand, but you can't create as many angles in the court from that spot against Medvedev as you would if you get your forehand into play. So he's pretty desperate to get it and misses that one. So he is making Sinner really uncomfortable, Medvedev. Love 30 now. Sinner with a massive serve down the tee. Earns him the unreturnable, so it's now 15-30. Agassi has a funny shuffle. He always looks so agitated. You're
The
right,
duck
Chris.
walk. Yeah.
I did think of him as well. What is it people used to say? Pigeon-toed?
Yeah.
Yeah. However, both great tennis players. So Sinner keep limping. 15-30. Sinner so far out wide for that first serve. With his stance, I should say, not the serve itself. He was standing near the doubles tram line to deliver it.
Ooh.
Going for a second serve, forehand inside out. Drop shot again. Yeah, great point.
That was a good point.
Yeah,
I guess I'm way ahead of you because it's hard for me to not react.
That's. I mean, I can. You can react all you like, Isabella. I didn't know if Sinner had won or lost the point, to be honest. Great point, actually. I mean, maybe the drop shots are going to be more key than I'd said earlier. That was really, really nicely played. I didn't think he had it in him, actually, compared to Musetti or Alcaraz of the next gen. You don't really see Sinner drop shotting that much, so it doesn't really come as second nature to him. 30 all, by the way, second serve. I'll just talk through the point very quickly. Delivered to Medvedev's backhand, back into play in their cross court again. Sinner going for that inside in forehand one more time. Kind of up in the point. Medvedev neutralizes though, and they're back to the backhand cross court battle. Sinner instantly going into the Medvedev forehand though. Again, back to the backhand cross court battle. Be interested to see if Sinner does something different. He slices this time. Medvedev just getting everything at the moment. Sinner's going to have to go for something bigger at some point. Medvedev again rolls the ball back into the play. Sinner back to the Medvedev forehand. He goes for a drop shot. Medvedev onto it pretty quickly, goes for the redrop, and he nets it. Maybe the drop shot will be super important then. Who knows? 40-30, that was a very massive point, and if Sinner does come out on top in this set, that could have been one of the most important points in the match. Can you hear my nose, honestly? That's horrible. Still sick, yeah. My nose is so blocked. It doesn't make for the best broadcasting voice, right?
I mean, your accent's pretty nasally as it is, so I didn't really notice.
Is it nasally? I mean, that's like the kettle calling the pot black, right?
How dare you?
I think that's fair enough. Mine's not that nasally relatively, isn't it? I mean,
if you hadn't have told me that you were sick, I wouldn't have noticed.
Fair enough. Do you have teapots in Canada, Ask Ghost?
Teapots? That's a weird question. Yeah, there are teapots in Canada.
I suppose the main question should be, do you drink tea that much in Canada? I didn't think it was much of a thing.
I think it's it's probably not as big as a thing as it is in the UK. But tea exists. It's there. A lot of people have it. It's probably the in-between between the States and the UK.
I was going to say, on that amazing segue, I'll segue back to the match because we've got a set point on Medvedev, on a Sinner serve, I should say, advantage Medvedev. Medvedev taking the last 2 points with some great backhands down the line. He does that a lot. He makes you think he's happy to just trade and do nothing from the back of the court for ages, and then all of a sudden you're on the back foot when he goes down the line with a few backhands out of nowhere. I'll put that on the screen. Second serve for Sinner. Let cord, so he's going to take it again. I don't see how he wins this point easily. I think it's going to have to be another 20-shot rally if he does win it. If he gets enough consecutive forehands into play. Goes wide with the second serve. They're in that cross-court battle again. Can Sinner find the forehand? He trades down the middle to Medvedev's forehand. Again down the line to Medvedev's forehand. They're back to the cross-court battle. Again, Sinner instantly bailing out with a slice down the line. Medvedev tries to hook the forehand. Yeah, Sinner's got a chance to be aggressive. Again, the drop shot, outfoxing Medvedev. I love this. I'm doing all my blog analysis as I go here. drop shots are probably going to be the key to the match if he can play them at the right time. It does look like he has to play 6 or 7 shots before he gets the chance, and even then he's going to execute well enough to keep Medvedev from getting up to it, because obviously he's one of the fastest players on tour. He only has to take about 3 steps to get there, right? The size of his legs.
Yeah, true.
Very interesting rally there.
And by the way, Ghost, no one appreciates that joke.
I think Sinner is fairly good at doubles, Ghost. There's a match against Medvedev that comes to mind, actually, when they played at the ATP Cup earlier, when Sinner played with a compatriot of his. I can't remember who it was, maybe Bolelli or maybe Fanini. Medvedev played with Sifun, and it went to a tiebreak. Sinner was probably the best player on court. Advantage Sinner, by the way. Goes for a massive serve down the tee, just misses. So he's got a second serve now. I'll talk you through this one. Goes out wide to the Medvedev backhand. Sinner instantly looking for the forehand, goes down the line, but doesn't pull the trigger enough, so they're back to neutral. Going cross-court with the backhand again. Ooh. Sinner bailing out early. Medvedev with a good counter-punch down the line. Medvedev cross-court backhand. Yeah, great stuff. Just goes for a little bit more angle on it and catches Sinner off guard. I was expecting a good shot again, Isabel, but I didn't know who had pulled the trigger. Left Sinner scrambling there. Oh my God. Good stuff from Medvedev. Yeah, this is why I quite like Medvedev. I think, there's a real art to playing 10 shots like that in a row and then finding the perfect shot to throw the other player off guard.
Yeah, I don't no shade to Medvedev.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
He's not still number 1 in the world, is he?
No. That's Carlos Alcaraz.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, he's no shade, truly, incredible player. I just find him very boring.
Yeah, I mean,
unless he's yelling at someone, then I'm not interested.
Of course. Calling somebody a small cat. He'd be the first to admit that, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, that goes down in history. Probably the best one, of course, has got to be their Miami. Him and Tsitsipas's Miami battle.
Oh, Sinner gets it.
Serve and volley. That's what I like to see. Darren Cahill obviously must be proud of that one. It was a great play at the perfect time, and it's now 5-4. Can he break Medvedev's serve? It'll be interesting to see.
No, I don't think he
You're just saying no outright.
I'm saying no, I don't think it's possible.
Ghost, it was me that said Medvedev's game was boring. I figured he would be the first to admit that his game was boring for some people. Federer fans, for example, I doubt we'll find a lot to love in Medvedev's game. Big ace followed by slow ball rally.
It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, for I love watching it. I love the way he works a point. It's a really, really good example of how to coach players, because you don't always have to go for a big ball at certain times. It's about knowing when to go for a big ball, about knowing when to add pace to the ball. Medvedev's probably the best on tour at doing that, I would say. Better than even Djokovic, who is probably a more aggressive player than he used to be. Can you hear that in the background, by the way? Is it quite loud? No?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Dishwasher.
You're fine.
Good. Tsitsipas segue. I did mention him there. Did you see he continued his run of losses to good backhand players? He lost to Borna Coric.
Jesus.
Well, Coric is good. Coric is good nowadays. Coric is good nowadays, to be fair.
That's true, I suppose. Yeah. I hadn't. I'm really off. I don't know anything. If it's happened in the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I have no idea.
In that case, I'll inform you and others that he also lost to Holger Rune the week before in Stockholm. Again, a very similar dynamic taking place. Couldn't live with the Rune backhand, which, in my opinion, could be the most aggressive on tour. It was absolutely huge in that match. Totally blew Tsitsipas off the court, and he turns up the next week in Vienna, I believe, here, and he loses to Coric, another guy who can pin him into that backhand corner and make it look like a weakness. It's disappointing stuff for Steph. Difficult to continue to back him as a fan, I would say.
Yeah, it's getting more difficult. I think he needs to change something up, whether it's on his team or within himself. I'm not sure, but he's making all his fans of his he's making us look bad, you know.
You're not in the camp Sack Apostolos?
Um, I don't know enough about the dynamic to say whether or not he needs to drop his dad. I wouldn't personally want one of my parents on my team.
Yeah.
But sometimes so I don't know, a lot of them have like tennis fathers and it makes sense for them to have them on their team, but the way everyone talks about it makes it sound like he's really toxic for
Yeah.
Steph. So I just don't know. I haven't seen enough evidence of it.
Yeah. It's difficult to say without knowing the ins and outs of it. But from an outside perspective, it certainly looks like he gets involved in situations where he shouldn't be getting involved, and probably hasn't given Steph a new look for a while. It does feel like they use outside influences for that. Thomas Enqvist probably adding to his net game. That's the only other example I can think of. It feels like it's been a long time since he's made a proper improvement to his game, bar his slice. Yeah, he needs something new because it's getting a little bit painful for Tsitsipas fans, for Tsitsipals, as they call them.
Yeah.
Medvedev 30-15, by the way, on his serve. Delivers an unreturnable serve down the tee to go up 40-15 now. Isabel's prediction coming true. Whatever the odds on for that were, probably not massive. I'll talk you through this one because it is now 2 set points to Medvedev. Ace out wide, and Medvedev with a very understated clench of the fist as he walks back to the bench. Chances of Sinner winning from here, Isabel?
Low.
Just low.
Quite low.
Quite low. I'd say he's got a chance. He lost the first set in there. In fact, probably, in every single one of their meetings so far. Oh, no, that's not true. There was one match where he was able to win the first set 6-1. I suppose the telling stat then would be the last 2 times they've met, it's gone to a third set. So he's not totally out of it yet. And only 5 more points won, given the size of Medvedev's serve. And the fact that he was only able to hit 3 aces against Sinner, who also has very lanky arms and does stop his opponents from being able to put as many unreturnable serves in the court as you would expect. I think that's very impressive. And yeah, only 46% first serves in. That's a big deal for Sinner nowadays, who really does benefit from his first serve. Maybe back in the day, he wouldn't have been so bothered by that stat, but against somebody like Medvedev, that's very important that he gets as many as he can in the court. Thanks very much, Jane. No worries. Excited to cover it. And Ghost also relaying the sentiment of a boring play about Djokovic, which each to their own. I'm a big fan of Djokovic's game. I think it's about as good as tennis can get in terms of level. I think given Rafa is basically nobody in the world can sort of come up with the same technique as Rafa. It's that alien and physical. I think Djokovic is probably the most replicable of the big 3, which makes it the most impressive for me, if that makes sense. It's just like, efficient as can be, very robotic in a good way, perfect. All those sort of adjectives come to mind. Am I being too kind to Djokovic? Am I a Novak fan?
Look, I think anyone who kind of appreciates the game the way you do, you kind of have to be a secret Novak fan.
Yes, that makes
and
sense.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be a Novak fan, but
is that your love for Federer influencing that decision, or
no? I just don't like him. I don't respect him as a person. He's done too much outside of the sport that is problematic and uncomfortable and shady. He makes it very difficult to be a fan. And yes, I didn't like him for the longest time because I was a Federer fan. and I can respect the way he plays. I can respect the things he's done for the sport as an athlete. But as a human being, uh, he's scummy.
Fair enough.
So, I just can't. I can't do it.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
know, and I'm gonna get hate from, his hive from that,
his hive.
but whatever. It's worth it. It's worth saying.
I think you've had enough hate from the
Oh
Novak hive for one
God.
lifetime, right?
Yeah, I had to take a break for a bit because they were they were threatening.
They were intense, I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't
Calling
know
for my resignation.
if did they even say what you were resigning from?
They wanted me fired from the
Oh,
blogging
yes. Yeah, yeah.
community.
Sinner, by the way, winning 2 baseline exchanges to open his service game there. One backhand down the line and another forehand inside out. Again, trying to find that forehand from positions he wouldn't otherwise. Channeling his inner Casper Ruud. Very impressive. Clinical, we're getting in the chat for Novak's game. All good adjectives, I would say. I think these are all positives about Novak's game. Ghost, definitely not a fan. Says he's not inspiring. I love his backhand. I think it's Medvedev's is just a little bit less flashy for me. Djokovic's is probably the most flashy in the game. Well, no, that's a lie, and the flashy is not the right adjective, right? A one-hander's always going to take that crown, but the most impressive in the game for me, definitely. The blocking boss is going to send you packing, Isabel. Another drop shot from Sinner. I love that play. That was so good. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I did.
Cool. Very Federer-like. Speaking of. Great stuff.
Yep. And there it is again. Boing.
Yeah, for those who didn't see it, it was a sort of off drop shot as Sinner was backing away from the ball. Not something I've ever seen from him before, actually. Very cool. Cool as a cucumber. That is the way I would describe Jannik Sinner. He's a very cool character. And not just from years of skiing. Who are our fave players?
Like currently or like past favorites?
I would,
It's a big question.
unless Amino sends another comment, I would say current players.
Okay.
Mine's Andy Murray. Doesn't matter if he's trash now. Still Andy Murray. Got to back him. If I had to have a realistic pick of the sort of new guys, probably Carlos. I think his game is just, or Sinner. Obviously, that match, fixated in my head as the best match of the last couple of years that I encountered at the US Open. The level there just so high. We have got current, by the way, confirmed. Yeah, I would say Alcaraz or Sinner. Probably Alcaraz, just because he's a bit younger.
And what about on the women's side?
On the women's side, I would say I've always said Simona Halep, but again, if we're going to be talking about a player who is sort of there all the time, Halep is actually, to be fair, she's just been injured the last couple of months. Swiatek. Swiatek's amazing. All the hype is real. It's worth it. She's incredible. She's the best player of our generation. She's fantastic. What about you?
I think men's side, Felix, always. I was a fan of Steph's for a long time, but it's faded recently, so I wouldn't list him anymore. But yeah, Felix is top place. Sinner as well is definitely one of my favorites. Based on this year alone. And Carlos is up there too. It took me a second to come around to him, but I do like him a lot. And on the women's side, I would say Coco Gauff and Leylah Fernandez.
I was gonna say,
I have to be
no love,
consistent.
no love for Felix.
I said Felix.
Did you say Felix? Sorry.
Top gun, Felix. Yeah.
I heard Carlos and Jannik. Sorry. Yeah, that makes more sense. And what about Bianca as well?
Yeah, I like Bianca. I just haven't seen her in a while, and she unfortunately fell into that WTA sort of category of coming out really strong out of nowhere, winning a Grand Slam, and then disappearing.
Yeah.
So I like her when she plays. I'll root for her. But if I'm going to pick a Canadian girl, I'm going to pick Layla because I think her style and her game is much more entertaining and kind of fascinating to see.
Definitely. Yeah. A lot of cool use of the left hand from that player rather than the sort of all-out offensive Bianca. 1-1, by the way. Medvedev rolled in that service game. Pretty easy for him. Sinner now stepping up to hold at 1-1 and delivers an unreturnable serve down the tee. Looking pretty standard in the first part of the set. No troubles on serve for either player. Yeah, I miss Andreescu as well. Ghost. I'm not surprised Layla's very charming behind the mic either. She does seem like a very personable character.
Definitely.
Sinner going for another drop shot, by the way, and wins the point. It's pretty much won him the point the last 7 or 8 times he's played it. Does seem to be the go-to play, so long as he doesn't play it too early in the rally.
I'm surprised that Medvedev hasn't cracked that yet.
His reaction there was quite good. Yeah, he doesn't like to stand at the baseline. There's not really much he can do to counter it without reading it just a little bit earlier. Even then, if Sinner executes the drop shot well enough, there's not really much Medvedev can do given where he stands. 30 love point, not massive, but I'll talk through it anyway. Sinner with a slice cross court, and again another cross court, but pushes it long, so it's 30-15. Maybe problems for him here. We'll see. One player to watch, by the way, if you are interested in who could emerge as one of the underdogs in the last 2 tournaments of the year besides the ATP finals. Dan Evans has been playing absolute blinders recently. 6-2, 6-2 win over Karen Khachanov in Vienna. And he lost to Felix last week. However, it was 3 sets. I thought the level of play was phenomenal. He reminds me a lot of Dimitrov, actually, when he's playing his best. So good at defending off the forehand when he's running wide for it. Keep an eye on him because I think he could be incredibly dangerous. Interesting comment there. Do you all think Holger Rune or Musetti can compete with Carlitos and Sinner for the next big talents?
You're joking, right?
What?
Holger Rune, really?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Isabel, you need to see him over the last couple of weeks.
Musetti, maybe, yeah, but
Holger Rune he's been seriously good. I now think he's the best of sort of Musetti and. In fact, John asked me this question. I can't remember the players he gave me. Sinner wasn't one of them. I still think Sinner's got more potential. But of the other up-and-comers, bar Carlitos, or the 2 that Ghost has mentioned there, I think Holger Rune is the next best. 30 all, by the way, Sinner with a forehand down the line that doesn't get the error, smashes it to put it away, though. No mistake there. No channeling his inner Jocko smash. So 40-30 now. Yeah, who's your pick of these players here, Isabel?
Korda.
No doubt.
Yeah, I would say Korda. I think he's got the best chance and the best personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Korda.
He's probably the best American pick for me, for sure. However, yeah, I think Rune just pips Korda. Korda is a wee bit older now, right? 22, maybe. And Rune only 19 years old and already doing massive things. Beating Tsitsipas fairly easily in that final, for example. And then the final before that, beating Zverev, who was playing fairly well. Very easily as well. He's making top players look pretty useless when he's playing his best. So don't underrate him, Isabel.
I'm not underrating him. I just don't like him, so I'm not gonna
Okay.
pick him.
Fair enough. Juice, by the way, Sinner trying to fend off a break point, goes wide with a serve, but it's called out, so he is going to get a second serve here. Could be curtains for him if he's not careful. Second serve to the Medvedev backhand. Sinner going for the slice. Might look to disguise the drop shot at some point with that slice if he continues doing it. Slices again, cross court. Medvedev hooks it cross court. Sinner goes down the line with a forehand. He's in the ascendancy here. Oh, Medvedev turns the point around with a great forehand down the line. Suddenly we're back to neutral again after a few defensive shots. And Sinner plops a forehand in the net eventually, so we're now at break point. I've heard a lot of people say this. Korda lacks passion, or maybe he's just quiet. A lot of people not overly interested in him, not particularly zealous about him. I don't know. I think he's got a good game. He's got an exciting game.
Yeah, I would agree. I really like his game. I don't really understand the lack of passion comment. I mean, I don't really think you can play at this level if you don't have passion.
Well, yeah, I mean, like there are some players that are quieter than others on court for sure. Court is
Yeah.
quite quiet. He does have a bit of passion though. I get it, like a
he's just
Nakashima.
yeah.
He's just like stoic as basically.
Yeah, I mean, would you say the same thing about Lendl? Like he lacks passion?
Yeah, it's true.
No. So
Exactly.
I think he doesn't have that same like volatile kind of energy that all these other young guys have.
I will interject very quickly, by the way, because Sinner has just been broken. Dumped another forehand in the net, so that was eventually his undoing. And yeah, now 2-1 to Medvedev.
Why I'm shocked.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a chance that Sinner doesn't break the whole match, in which case, I'd have to give plaudits to Medvedev and say his form's right back up there with, late 2019, late 2020. I mean, it's the time of year that he likes to play his best tennis, quite honestly. He's good in Australia, but he does have the odd dip, a la Lajovic in Rotterdam. But yeah, latter half of the year, generally, he's very, very good. And he can, obviously 2020, he raised his level out of nowhere. He was playing some horror show matches, and then all of a sudden he went on a streak of like 10 top 10 wins or something. So we'll see if this match continues as it does. It's going to be one of the best wins for him in a while in terms of picking up his form.
I'm gonna take a step away for a second, so I will be back.
Yeah, don't worry. I have a good stat to talk about in the meantime.
Oh, good.
Nothing to do with Medvedev or Sinner. Arthur Rinderknech, you gotta pay attention to this guy. It's actually wild. I don't know if I'll check if he's still in the tournament, but very recently has beaten 3 top 20 players, I should say, in 3 consecutive tournaments, and in all 3 of those consecutive tournaments, he saved match points. So saved a match point against Diego Schwartzman 3 weeks ago. This week saved 2 match points against Cilic, and then the previous week he beat Pablo Carreno Busta, saving 9 match points. I mean, who would have guessed it from Arthur Rinderknech? It's a cool stat. I love it. If he keeps it up, he actually tweeted about it. He was so proud of it. If he keeps that up, it's not going to get unnoticed by me anyway. He's going to get a little shout out on my podcast at the end of the week. I mean, great stuff from him. Absolutely love it. 2-1 to Medvedev, stepping up to serve again. Misses the first serve. Has had problems with that this year, by the way, missing the first serve. That's part of the reason for a few of those matches that he would have won in previous years not going his way. Problems on the second serve as well. I remember double faults creeping up in matches where he's been in the ascendancy. The match to Dimitrov last year, coming to mind at Indian Wells, when he was 4-1 up, I think, in the second set. And Dimitrov went on a run of like 10 games. Medvedev served completely deserting him. Second serve's going spraying everywhere. First serve barely going in the court. It was an absolute horror show, and Gilles Savara was, self-professed very, very annoyed with the way that Medvedev handled himself in that match. We've not seen much of it recently, though, fortunately. Again, there was a little spell mid-season when Medvedev was getting to finals in the grass court part of the season, playing players like Hubie Hurkacz, Tim van Rijthoven, Roberto Bautista Agut, I believe, and kind of losing his rag a bit. So when those sort of feelings of anger start to creep into his game and he gets distracted, you do tend to see some pretty dodgy stuff from. So the more he can keep that at bay, the better. Yeah, too much passion, not enough passion. You're quite right, Ghost. It's nobody's ever. You're never going to make everybody happy. That's the thing. How you act on court, and honestly, yeah, I think the not enough passion claim is an absolute joke, right? I mean, who's going to be unhappy with that? I don't know. Almino, to be fair, each to their own. But for me, players like David Goffman, Brandon Nakashima do the talking with their tennis rather than their outlook or their personality on the court. They don't need to have any of the histrionics do the talking for them. 40 love, by the way, on Medvedev's serve. Messes a backhand, so it is now 40-15. However, the 3 previous points were pretty standard Medvedev stuff, barely troubled by Sinner. And you do just get that feeling that that's going to continue. Medvedev with the first serve down the tee. Going to a neutral rally. Medvedev draws him in short. And yeah, great point from Sinner there. The sort of slice mid-court to draw Medvedev to the net. We all know Medvedev isn't particularly happy going up there to the net. So it's such a difficult play to continuously pull off, because if you do give Medvedev enough time in his backhand, you can work wonders with it, right? So you got to be careful how often you play it, but it works. An absolute treat there as we go 40-30. Yeah, Ghost, you're quite right. Rybakina, probably the prime example of that this year. The lack of celebration when she did win Wimbledon. I don't know why people were upset about that, to be honest. Obviously still meant loads to her. She doesn't have to show it. It's up to her. There was a touching moment in the press conference afterwards where she did sort of break down in tears, and it was quite heartbreaking, because she did talk about the fact that our emotions, she liked to keep her emotions in check, and she was kind of forced into breaking down a bit. That's a nightmare from Sinner. I think that Medvedev forehand was going long, and Sinner opted to volley it from the baseline, and it went flying. Yeah, head in the hands. Yeah, he's really not happy with himself there. Such a shame. So he does go up 3-1. Okay, Jack, what backhand is more awesome, Joker or team? Yeah, see, impressive, I think, is the adjective I decided on in the end, because for me, the Djokovic backhand is the most impressive. Flashy, though. Awesome. Awesome is the word you've used, Ghost. Team's got to take that, right? I mean, the backhand down the line from Team is one of the most exciting shots on the tour. So yeah, Team's got to take it for awesome, but impressive in terms of winning points, in terms of, consistency, match in, match out as a weapon. Djokovic is probably better for me. 15 love on Sinner serve, by the way. Managed to get himself to the net again. Keep talking about the Darren Cahill effect. It's been so useful for him. Interesting to see what he does here. A serve and volley again wouldn't be out of place at this point in the match. Doesn't come in off the back of a wide serve, although he has just missed it, so it's now a second serve for Sinner. Second serve to the Medvedev backhand. Medvedev slices cross-court. Sinner slices cross-court, I should say. They are now trading cross-court. The hallmark of the match. Sinner trying to change direction down the line. Medvedev with a pretty good forehand cross-court now in the ascendancy in the point. A great forehand down the line. Gets a short ball, and he puts it away with an octopus finish there. Again, not particularly balletic, but does the job. Almino there. I'm a one-handed backhand guy. Aren't we all one-handed backhand guys? Almino, I can watch Team rifle backhands down the line all day, but I also appreciate the efficiency and the effectiveness of a great two-hander, which is why I love watching Medvedev and Djokovic construct points in the manner that they do. 15-all now, after a great Medvedev point. Sinner, now going for the serve and volley. I wouldn't be surprised to see Sinner take on more serve and volleys in the juice court than he would in the ad court because he's more comfortable hitting that wide serve in the juice court than he is hitting the wide serve in the ad court. And we have only seen him serve and volley from that side. Does earn him the point there as Medvedev goes for too much on the forehand pass. Here we go, 30-15. Big serve down the tee from Sinner. Gets him a slow ball. He goes for the drop shot and it just misses, hitting the net cord, and it's now 30-all. It doesn't feel like one of those matches that should be 6-4, 6-2, right? But Medvedev's level just so high. So impressed with it. We did get that comment earlier from somebody, I can't remember. Apologies, but whoever it was said if Medvedev wins Vienna, would he be considered the favourite over Djokovic in Turin? Wins like this, if this was 6-4, 6-2, it's kind of hard to count him out as one of the favourites for sure. Probably would overtake Felix if he continues to play as well as he is playing at the moment. Welcome back.
Thank you. I needed snacks.
What have you got?
I just made a sandwich.
Nice. I opted for sardines and eggs on toast.
I would expect nothing less from you.
Mm-hmm.
I finally ate sardines, by the way.
Oh, well done. Was that in Portugal?
Yeah, but they were fresh, freshly caught and killed.
That sounds amazing. I love that.
They were very fishy tasting.
Yeah, that tends to be the case with sardines. I can still smell it from the kitchen, which is to my left. Not great. Sinner holds, by the way, so we're now 3-2. Manages to get himself out of a sticky situation at 30-all with some good serving. Again, as I was saying, it's not the sort of game he might have been able to hold as easily. In previous meetings with Medvedev, he really has improved that serve and his spot serving abilities. So yeah, really, really impressive hold. However, yeah, Medvedev in the ascendancy. I should update that banner, right? Up a centre break. There we go. Yeah, I'm rooting for Sinner now. Fair enough. I want to see a third set. So do I. Sinner would have to raise his level, and in doing that, I think we'd get some spectacular tennis because Medvedev's playing great at the moment. By the way, Isabel, you missed Sinner hitting a volley from the baseline that was going out. You don't see that very often in professional tennis.
Yeah, you don't. That would have been cool. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
I also missed the Sinner Alcaraz match, so it happens.
Yeah, that was a bad one to miss. I mean,
I know.
in
it
fairness,
was so late.
It was so late, I know. It really
I had work the next day or something.
Yeah, I think you did. I'm pretty sure it started at 3 o'clock or so in the morning.
Yeah.
It ended at 8, right? So
yeah, I couldn't do it. I stayed up for the previous one, and I thought that's good enough. But I didn't know what I was about to miss.
It was great. So good. Medvedev 3-2 at the moment, stepping up for his first point of his service game. Gets a backhand to start that dynamic we're talking about. He does bail out of it actually and go for a backhand down the line. Sinner with a slice, misses it. First slice he's missed, to be fair, but he is he's looking troubled actually. I don't know, he was on the seat and I think he was looking towards Darren Cahill with some choice looks. Head and hands again. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's something else going on or if it's just a bad shot choice. Anyway, yeah, 15-love. Medvedev with a serve out wide. Sinner goes for the slice again. Medvedev can't do anything with it and misses a forehand. First time he's missed off a slice. Still don't think that's the tactic to go for, to be honest, but wins him the point there. Thinks Daniil has a chance against RBA. Good question. I didn't actually see as much of the RBA win against Andy as I would have liked. RBA, I imagine, would have just been locking him in cross-court backhands. Probably can do the same against Stan, although I did see Stan playing Rude, and I was very, very impressed, as good as it gets. I mean, I want to say no, because of how Stan has played in consecutive wins. He's tiring so easily recently. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see quite a one-sided match for RBA if Stan has run out of gas.
Yeah, it could happen.
Good comment from Ghost there, Isabel, about your tweets.
This dude, he's okay. Ghost is really going after Canada in the comments.
He is, yeah.
And I'm doing the Canadian thing and I'm politely ignoring him.
Very Canadian of you, that's true. Great serve, by the way, from Medvedev to go 4-2 up now. Sinner still looking a little bit questionable. I don't know, scratching his head as most players do against Medvedev. A few serving volleys here, a few drop shots there would lead him to a service hold, but obviously because he has to get the break, I'd like to see a few more risks from him. A few more leathered forehands in the manner of his US Open match against Alcaraz would be great. It's close. Is it 100? I thought it was 144. Ghost.
Oh
I don't
my
know.
God. I am kind to Stan. I am a fan of Stan the man. Jack can vouch for this. I have loved him a long time. I will always root for him.
I'm the same. I love Stan.
That's not true. You don't like Stan.
I like Stan.
You call him Fat Stan.
He is. He's a little chubby. He said it himself. He has got, honestly, he's got Instagrams where he's hashtagged himself Fat Stan. I thought he was reading my mind. Doesn't mean I don't like him. It's endearing. Oh my God, Jocko smash. Plaguing Sinner again. And we're now at 15-0. Do we call it the Sinner smash now? Is it getting to that point? That's been before this match. And what is that you're eating?
I'm eating a sandwich.
Oh yeah, it looked like one of those like Nature Valley bars, making me really, really hungry. Amino relaying that sentiment. Stan's always been a thick boy. He has. Thanks, Ghost. You could even say it was endearing. 30-15. Oh, 15-30. Sorry, that was a great forehand from Medvedev. I stand corrected. I thought he missed that. Great rifled forehand from Medvedev. This is what he does when he's ahead. This is what's, again, so impressive about Medvedev. Sinner hits an amazing serve out wide, and Medvedev's on it with one of his freak arms to rifle it cross court, and all of a sudden it's 15-30. One of the best front runners in the game. Takes risks when he's ahead rather than behind. Now second serve for Sinner at 15-30. God, I think this is a must-win point. Medvedev with the backhand cross court. They're going into that exchange. There's probably only going to be one winner unless Sinner comes up with something different. He does slice it to see if Medvedev will do something different. He keeps it wide enough to keep it off Sinner's back. Forehand, though, I should say. Medvedev, Sinner going for more with the backhand cross court.
Oh my God.
Manages to find a forehand right into the corner. Drop shots it perfectly. Yeah, that was a great point.
What a
oh my God.
Shot.
But I mean, I did say about redlining. That was definitely a good example of it. Sinner's forehand, I mean, practically hit the sideline and the baseline there, didn't it? It was right in the corner, literally, almost. And yeah, drop shot afterwards. Perfect.
Yeah, does Ghost have a crush on you? Is that what he's saying?
I think just the accent, probably. Yeah, we do. Our top Scottish player at the moment, Anna Brogan. I'll give her a shout out. She does play at my club, actually. She's a great, great player. 300 or so in the world. Has the same accent as me. So if she manages to make the breakthrough, Ghost, you'll be pretty happy. 40-30 at the moment. Sinner with a great serve there just to stave off the Medvedev threat. Good first serve out wide. Gives Sinner a forehand, but really is a neutral rally at the moment until Sinner rifles a forehand down the line. Another one inside in. Medvedev getting to everything no, and the third forehand going wide from Sinner. It's not something you see that often. Sinner having to hit more than two forehands in a row. It's not really a shot that breaks down easily as well, to be honest. Remember Alcaraz, the rallies were going on for ages despite them hitting 100-mile-an-hour ground strokes against each other. Will be interested to see if that's his undoing in the end, the forehand unforced errors. I'd like to see the count on them. at the end of the match. We are now at deuce. Yeah, totally agree. That's why I was very impressed with that combo. However, it might not be enough as we see another center forehand drop shot go wide, and it's now break point to Medvedev.
I don't think we're going to be long in this second set.
Bold prediction, Isabel.
So, I call like I see it.
Center hangs his head in shame as he steps up to serve on the break point. Delivering a first serve now. Hopefully goes wide in volleys, maybe. He does go wide, and he maybe was going in for a volley there. However, it's a moot point as we are now on second serve. Center second serve wide. Medvedev goes down the line with the backhand to try and throw center off, but he's privy to it, and we're now in a cross-court backhand rally. Center going round for the forehand again to try and get something aggressive into the point, though. Again, Medvedev neutralizes everything.
Oh, my God.
Doesn't sound good, yeah. Backhand down the line. Misses,
again
and it's now
with that
5-2.
shot. My God.
He's not missing by much when he does miss. We'll give him that, but it's now 5-2 to Medvedev. This has been very impressive.
I told you, we're not long here.
Very clairvoyant. Spooky even. Medvedev with.
Yeah, so hard to tell.
A pretty easy ask here. If Medvedev does break down from here, I'll be citing that Indian Wells match again against Dimitrov. Because, I mean, nothing bar a complete Medvedev meltdown is going to make him lose from here. Very rarely loses 2 service games in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Ghosties. Medvedev's getting pretty much every return back into play. And it's because of that return position. He's so far back in the court. He doesn't have to hit a return. He just has to hit a forehand or a backhand. By the time it gets to him, it's slowed down enough. He can take a proper swing at him. He doesn't have to change up his return technique. It's not that sort of abbreviated swing or anything. He winds up as much as he can and he puts it back into play deep in the court. So Sinner feeling the effects of that. It doesn't matter what he did on serve today. He couldn't really have done much more. Serving volleys working every so often, but he couldn't rely on that. Maybe still not quite at the level of Kyrgios or Djokovic in that department. So yeah, it's been pretty one-sided. Medvedev's winning Vienna, Paris, and the Tour finals. Calling it now, says Almino. I still don't know about the Tour finals. As I say, courts are a little bit faster. Paris probably would suit him a bit more, where the courts are a bit slower. Just able to get people in that backhand exchange, all day, all night, 24/7. In the Tour finals, though, Djokovic really should be the favourite if the courts are a bit quicker, or if they're as quick as they were last year. It depends what surface they lay, to be honest, but you'd imagine it'll be as quick as last year, and Djokovic excels in those conditions. That is true, Ghost. Yeah, he came to the sport at around 12, I believe. Well, he was playing before that, but he chose tennis as his exclusive sport at 12. And he was skiing, I believe, up until then. I mean, everybody knows that Sinner skis, right? But maybe they don't. But yeah, the commentators mention it pretty much every match they get the chance to comment on it. But yeah, I think that was his first preferred sport.
I mean, when you come from that part of Italy, kind of everybody fucking skis,
Yeah. John will bleep that in post-production, I'm sure.
Sorry, John.
30 love Medvedev as he goes for a serving volley. Of course, why not put in a serving volley at the end of the match? Second serve now. And he goes into the center forehand with a wide serve. Another serving volley. He's in no man's land. He's now retreating. He's an absolute oddity. Pushes the backhand a little bit long. That's got to be loud. Give me 2 seconds. You're going to have to take the reins for 2 seconds, Isabel.
Oh, God. Okay, well, I'm a little bit ahead of Jack, so got Medvedev serving. First serve into the net. Gearing up for a second serve. Doesn't help because I'm a little bit ahead of you, so...
That's true.
Now we're mid-rally. Oh, Sinner absolutely killed that point.
Great forehand inside it,
Massive forehand.
and
Yeah.
a volley down the line, right?
Yeah.
Amazing point. 30-all.
That's a huge forehand.
All of a sudden, the bizarre serve volley choices from Medvedev looking a little bit stupid, as you would expect. Darren Cahill laughing. Maybe at that, I don't know, I'm not sure. There was a bizarre moment at the start of that rally where, it must have been the one before, where he was caught in no man's land and retreated. Really weird. Great serve out wide, though. Doesn't get the error, though. Still in the point. Sinner missed that, though, right? Yeah, he missed that lob, and it's now
we're at
40-30.
match point.
If the guys in the ATP had a magic wand and could be stars in any other sport, what percentage would choose soccer? Not sure.
Probably. Oh wow! And Medvedev wins it on an ace.
Ace out wide. Yeah, we'll
Wow.
save that comment for a second. Ghost. Great match from Medvedev in general. Didn't have to hit a ton of unreturnable serves against Sinner. Just had him pinned into the backhand. Sinner did a good job of getting out of that actually, but Medvedev's forehand obviously underrated as a weapon, because you can't actually give him too many forehands in a row. He will work the point against you despite its strange technique, despite its strange delivery. You can't keep trying to target it. Medvedev just doing such a great job of staving that off, and Sinner coming out second best. Yeah, strong end for Medvedev indeed. Quite right. Do you fancy his chances at the ATP finals, Isabel? Do you think he's the favourite?
I don't know if he's the favorite, but he'll probably do well, but I don't think he's the favorite.
For sure.
I think Djokovic is probably the favorite for that.
I would say the same thing. I will just check the draw here, though, and there are a few players I can think of that if he was able to beat them in convincing fashion, I might change my mind. However, yeah, so he'd have to play Dimitrov in the next round, somebody that beat him last year, but really on paper, a fairly standard one for Medvedev, just given Dimitrov's backhand. Although, Dimitrov's got a high enough peak that, as we all know, he can beat anybody in his given day. He just doesn't have that many given days anymore. And in the final, it would be Dan Evans, Shapovalov, Hurkacz or Coric. Probably the worst matchup for him in those four has got to be Coric, I would say, although Hurkacz does a very good job of keeping things close against Medvedev when he does play him. Great volleyer, great backhand. So yeah, he probably wants the winner of Dan Evans or Shapovalov to play in the final. Hurkacz probably just a little less bad than Coric if Coric is playing well enough, given he can keep up with Medvedev on the backhand side. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't underrate Felix. Felix has been playing great indoors, most wins indoors this year, actually. Apart from Bublik, by the way, who also is the second most. So I'm not rating him as an indoor player, or an overall player, I guess. He's a great indoor player, but he's not the best overall player, of course, just a little bit too inconsistent. But yeah, don't underrate Felix, seriously. He's playing very, very good tennis. It's been a while since I've been able to say that about him. Given his run to like the quarters and semis of pretty much every slam last year. There's been a few moments this year where it's just not been quite as efficient. However, the last few months have been that win against Novak, although Novak was a little bit under par on serve at the Laver Cup, was one of his matches of the year. Such a good level.
Yeah.
It's incessant. You're not gonna? Can you take it, Isabel, or no?
I'm not gonna say anything. Also, FAA is French Canadian, so I don't think they say A as much.
That's true. He's got a bit of an accent, actually. Felix.
Well, he's.
Is his first language French?
I don't know if it's his first language, but he's from Montreal, so he 1,000% is fluent in.
He's completely
French
fluent.
Canadian.
I've seen a few videos of him, with French interviewers and stuff, and he speaks it so fluently. I assumed it might be his first language. Just given he's got a bit of a twang to his accent, very, very subtle, but yeah, it did make me think
probably is. But it's mostly common to have that when you're from French Canada. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. As I say, I mean, I don't rule him out. The only other person I would look out for, if the conditions are fast enough, is Carlos Alcaraz, who, despite not having the best place serve, has ground strokes that are big enough to blow anybody off the court when the conditions are quick, including Djokovic. You know, it depends how the conditions play. So you could almost consider Alcaraz your wild card, depending on how the courts play, and then Felix and Novak second and first, respectively, for me. And of course, Rafa's going, but we're not going to count him as a favourite, I'm afraid, given he's zero titles at the ATP finals, 0 titles in the Paris Masters, 0 titles in the Shanghai Masters. Hasn't won any big hardcore indoor tournament in his career. So despite being able to play good tennis in those events, it's difficult to see him actually winning the title. Have you got anything else to add, Isabel, before I close up shop?
Not really. It wasn't the most exciting match.
Yeah.
Was that the final? That wasn't the final, was it?
No, it was the quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals, yeah. So maybe the semis and final might be more interesting, but
hopefully, as I say, Medvedev against Dimitrov could be good if Dimitrov plays well enough, but just not enough matches under Dimitrov's belt for me to feel like that'll happen. The final would be really interesting if we get Hurkacz or Coric playing against Medvedev.
I would like to see a Coric Medvedev final.
Yeah, that could be really good. I'm pretty sure Coric is ahead in their head-to-head, I believe. I'll have to just double check that. Given Coric's abilities in the backhand, he's 4-2 ahead at the moment, having played him last 3 years ago in the St. Petersburg final, although Medvedev won that one quite easily. So hopefully we get a good final. That should be the one to tune into. Basel, obviously, plenty going on there as well. We do have Stan continuing his run there. Carlos Alcaraz currently a set-up against Pablo Carreño Busta. The two players I mentioned as the best indoor players of this year, with the most wins, I should say, Felix and Bublik. Felix was able to come out on top in that, 6-3, 6-2. Again, don't underrate that win because Bublik is a good indoor player. If Carlos comes through in this next set, we will get a Felix and Carlos Alcaraz semi-final. I believe that's their first meeting.
That I would watch that.
Yeah, that would be good. Then Rune should come through Rinderknecht, although I did give him a shout out as the clutchest player of this year, so we'll see. And Batista Aguvi Stan. You'd imagine Batista Aguvi comes through that. So yeah, the match to watch there should be Carlos and Felix, should Carlos come through. So that'll be tomorrow. Shall we finish up there?
I think so.
Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in. If you want to catch any of my stuff on Twitter, you can go to ontheline_Jack. Isabel is at the tennis slut or just tennis slut?
Oh no, the
tennis slut, of course. Yeah, there's
one only one.
Catch us on Twitter there for all our comments and work, etc. On the line tennis as well. You can go to the blog ontheline-tennis.uk. Thanks very much for tuning into this. We'll catch you next time on Talking Tennis. Thanks very much, Isabel.
Thanks.